What's up everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a hands-on demonstration of something I'm super excited to show you. As a tech reviewer, we see a lot of new stuff come through our offices, but very few things are as innovative and as interesting to use as this Libretto. So on first blush, it looks just like any other netbook, a little bit on the fat side, it's small, it's light, but when you open this thing up, that's where the fun starts. Check that out. Dual touchscreens. Looks like a giant Nintendo DS. Let me go ahead and power this guy on and run through some of the specs. So as soon as I opened up the Libretto, my geek alarms went off. I kept thinking, how cool is this? And then I started thinking more practically, how can you actually use this? I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to power it on here. This is running a full version of Windows 7. It is the starter version, but you can upgrade it to home or business professional, whatever you would like. It does have a Pentium chip in it. It's actually a 1.2 gigahertz dual core Pentium U5400. It's packing 2 gigs of DDR3 RAM. It's got a 62 gig serial ATA hard drive, as well as an expansion card slot right there on the top for micro SD, so you can expand the storage space. This guy's booting up, and it does boot up rather quickly. So you have a full Pentium processor, so you're going to get much better than netbook performance, and I'll show you guys when it comes to view flash content and streaming video. So here we are. This is Windows 7. Looks a little strange asking me to update Adobe Flash. We'll go ahead and leave that for just a minute. Let me go ahead and walk you through it. When I saw this thing, I understood the top panel. Okay, it's touchscreen Windows 7. It's kind of just like a small tablet on top. What the heck's going on with the bottom? Let me go ahead and show you what we have here with the bottom, because this thing does all kinds of stuff that I had never seen a laptop do before. So go ahead and tap it and open it up. So you have these things here called boards. You can go ahead and scroll through and have a ton of different boards down here. You can add notes. You can go ahead and make your own board and add shortcuts for games and things like that. But what interested me most was, how was I going to input text on something like this? Well, there actually is a keyboard. If you go ahead and tap that button on the left, that pulls up a very full tactile feedback keyboard, and typing is actually not that bad on this. And you get a few keyboard options. You got sort of a larger one right there. I'll go ahead and bring that back. So you get sort of a larger keyboard. You can go ahead and make that even bigger. Go ahead and shrink it if you want sort of some more number options. You can also split it, which is a little bit weird, and it'll show part of the screen. And that'll be useful, and I'll show you in a minute, when you actually turn this guy on its side and look at it like a book, similar to what we saw with the old Microsoft Courier, or what would have been the Courier. There's another split keyboard, just a number pad, and then back to the keyboard. So Windows 7 is certainly optimized for touch, but it's very awkward to go ahead and sort of touch around here on one of these dual 7-inch capacitive screens, which I should say have a resolution of 1224 by 600. So you're not looking at the highest resolution here in the world, but it will get the job done. That's actually a resolution of 124 by 600. So the bottom screen here turns off, and you just can pretty much use a computer as you'd like. Let's talk about navigation first. Certainly you can go ahead and use your finger and poke around on these small icons and go where you want to go. If you want to check out control panels, you can go ahead and do that. It's a little bit cumbersome because the screen is so small. Well, actually, Toshiba's included something that makes this really handy. There's a button in the bottom right-hand corner that opens up what looks like a full trackpad. You can go and navigate now nice and easily. Now, Toshiba made this knowing they weren't going to get a huge adoption rate. It was actually just made it because they could, to sort of show innovation and celebrate their 25th anniversary. This is going to set you back just about $1,100–1,200 bucks, so it's not a cheap proposition. And they made just a very limited supply, so it's sort of a while supplies last kind of thing. So if you're interested in getting one, you probably should go ahead and jump on it. So as you go ahead and use this virtual touchpad at the bottom, you actually get haptic feedback as you go over menu options. And I found navigating to be extremely easy while using this. I'll go and remind me later here for Flash. It took me a while to actually find that touchpad option, but once I did, things worked very well. Alright, so let me go ahead and show you some of the performance things we got here. Let's go ahead and jump on into Windows Explorer. And this is a full computer, so don't be fooled in thinking this is a netbook, and you might because of its size. One interesting sort of feature while this page is loading up, the bottom of this stays very cool. The top part is actually where all the computer stuff are. So the top part's going to get very hot, and you're going to hear often a lot of fan noise. You can see there's a lot of fan vents there. But when you put this thing on your lap, you're not going to fry your business off because the bottom part stays not where the computer components are. It will stay very cool, something to kind of keep in mind. Alright, so let's take a look at the web browser. So you can go ahead and scroll. The feedback is pretty decent here. It does have pinch to zoom, so you can zoom in. It's not the most fluid thing I've seen in the world, but it does indeed work. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to, let's go say, my YouTube channel. So I'll go ahead and navigate over there, and I will use the on-screen keyboard to type this. You can see how effective or ineffective it is. So now I want to move that trackpad out of the way, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize it. Now I can go ahead and just type like normal. So I can do www.youtube. You can tell it definitely could take some getting used to type on this thing. It's not awful, but you're not going to go ahead and write your novel and take this guy to Starbucks with you to do that, just sort of to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and jump right to YouTube, and we'll hit enter. And you saw that it actually moved that touchpad up to the top. Kind of interesting. Alright, so here is YouTube. Let's go ahead and go to one of the videos on my channel. We'll do a quick search just so I can play it for you, not to worry about any sort of copyright stuff. You can see what YouTube performance is going to be. So I'll let John 4, and there we go, it pulled one of them up. Go ahead and select it, hit enter. And there is a video. There is round 1 of the Mac versus PC series. Go ahead and click that. And it'll play pretty smoothly. Playback is really nice. The speakers aren't necessarily overly loud, but it does work. Go ahead and see it playing. I've got the volume here turned down, but it's very smooth, much smoother than general netbook performance. And Hulu, by the way, plays very well on this as well. So I'm looking for something to take on the road. This guy might actually work out quite well for you. So let me go ahead and close all this stuff. Let me bring back my touchpad. For some reason it's up there. There's on a lot of these options, you'll have buttons to sort of move them down or move them up. You see those arrows down or arrows up. So that arrow down is going to push it down there. So let me go ahead and close this window here. Go ahead and see Matt talking. And let's talk about the form factor here. When I saw this form factor, first thing I thought of was games and books. And by calling it the Libretto, clearly they had one of those in mind. And there is a built-in e-reader in here, and supposedly you can use all open EPUB and PDF formats, although I've had a very hard time actually getting content over to the device. But there are some books on here. Let me go ahead and show you what we've got to work with. I should also mention that it does have an accelerometer, so you can turn it before you get into the book side of it, and it'll actually reorient itself using Windows 7 in this sort of bookish form factor. Wouldn't necessarily say it's the most user-friendly way to use a laptop, but you definitely can. If you want to sort of sit on a train or something, look at a website, have part of the website here and part of the website here, you definitely can. Or have two sites, one open on each side. So let me go ahead and show you that books, and we'll use it in this form factor. So I don't turn the whole computer off here. So they kick the accelerometer again. It is, as you can see, very sensitive to how you're using it. It does take a little while to orient itself. So go ahead and hit the start button. There you go. Let's go ahead and check out some of the books programs. We'll go to all programs, my Toshiba. And there we have Toshiba book play. It's actually in the Toshiba folder. If I can click on it without using my fat thumb, which does not appear to be possible. This is definitely part of the issues with it. It's got Bluetooth, so if you want to use a Bluetooth keyboard or mouse, you definitely can. It's got 802.11b, and N built in here as well. Alright, so the book place is opened up. You can sort of see the reflective screen there. Once again, these are capacitive screens, so sort of the styluses that perhaps we might have used on older touchscreen devices is not going to function. You guys can get a whole view of my office here in the reflection. And it should be opening up the book place now. Although I am dubious that it's going to do that. Let's try that one more time. Go to Programs. Jump on into Toshiba. Alright, now it's there we go. Book Place. Powered by Blio. And one of the things that keeps surprising me is I keep expecting netbook performance from this guy just because of its size. And really you end up getting much better. So I'll go ahead and open a book here. Let's just pick one. And this is sort of one of the most natural ways to use a Libretto, is to actually use it like a book. And I will tell you, I took this thing out and I was sort of using it and exploring it. just out and about, I kept getting some very odd stares. No one's ever seen anything like this before, and that includes this tech reviewer. So it was very sort of interesting and fun to learn how to use. So the accelerometer kicked in again. Let's go ahead and let that come back. Hopefully we're going to see a book open up here. Alright, so now we do actually have a book opened up, and you can go ahead and turn the pages and just start reading. Hit the arrows, probably a bit of an easier way to do it. It's not the smoothest experience in the world. The program is a bit jumpy. There's a lot of reflection, as you can see here. You're going to get a decent amount of eye strain trying to do any serious amount of reading on this guy. But if you're a student, you got to read a quick PDF before class or do a case study, it's going to get the job done. I'm going to go ahead and push this guy back, let it reorient itself. And I should also mention that it's got a relatively decent webcam built in there. It's a 1 megapixel sensor, so in case you want to do your web chatting or Skype chatting, you've got the option to do so. Let's go ahead and close this up. You know, see, oftentimes when you try and use your finger, it's hard to navigate Windows 7, but it does work. They've made things a bit friendlier and easier to use when you try and do larger scale items. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the large windows that'll pop up here. So I'll go ahead and back and open up Internet Explorer, and if I hit the back button, you get a whole bunch of options you can do to close or move to make things a bit easier and optimized for touch. Hope you guys enjoyed this overview and sort of review of the Toshiba Libretto. It's one of those things that's very fun to use. There's a huge novelty factor using something with the dual touchscreens. From a practical standpoint, I think I would go crazy having to use this thing on an everyday basis. But it is fun, it is unique, and it's certainly kind of cool to see something a bit different. So guys, I am John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. I'll have this for another few days. If there's something that you want to see, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I will show you. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.